What is coachable? Good morning, coaches. Today I'm going to be talking about the idea of coachable or coachability and how we sometimes can kind of conflate being coachable with two separate kind of ideas. Oftentimes you'll see this idea posted on various social media, like we want players who are coachable, we want players who have different qualities, and what does that really mean? What does it mean to be coachable? Sometimes we'll see the idea of being coachable, and it's a general kind of framework for that I say you do, that top-down approach of I as the coach. I have the idea of what is best for the team, of what is needed for you, and I expect you, the players, to kind of follow through with that. And so this idea of coachability in that framework sometimes can be a sort of synonym for, the idea of followership. Do what the coach says, follow the guidance, follow that, and you will be fine. Followership. And there's an idea within that here is the system of perfection that we want to maintain or we want to reach. Here is the level at which we want to get to. And this idea is something that we want to replicate. That idea of perfection, we want to replicate that perfection. So what we do is to try to get players to, buy in. We have to really have a high level to get to this. And in order to do so, we have to be good followers. Now, if we think about the idea of coachability in that respect, if we think about it as a top-down, I say you do approach, we can be missing out on what coachability really kind of implies. And coachability ultimately is the capability of learning. If we are thinking about that player profile of U12 and up, players have already been playing this sport for a few years, and they've already shown a propensity or an ability of a level that shows that they have had the capability of learning to get to a level that they've made the team. So really, if coachability is the ability to learn, and we think about that rather than I say you do, that can open up the door for a whole host of opportunities. Rather than thinking about coachability as a top-down approach, if we think about it as an amalgamation of some different qualities, what could that allow us to do as coaches to help meet the needs of our players? Rather than followership, if we recognize that autonomy is important for players, if we recognize that it's important for players to be able to make decisions, we can reimagine how practice can be an opportunity for them to make decisions, to be able to be their own set of identity, not only as players, but as a team that can reach a level that we might not have expected and might not have been our, hypothetical model, but can be one that is not only better for the players and the team, but it can also be at a higher level than what we already kind of foresaw. Second, if we think of perfection as the end goal, and we think similarly, there are potential outcomes that we might not have foreseen. If we think about that idea of, instead of perfection, adaptability, this idea of repetition without repetition, we want to give players challenges so that they can use their autonomy to adapt to the problems they face. They're more likely going to be able to have a more robust or a more bend without break, flexible ability to meet the challenges that they face. So when we think of coachability, we want to think about coachability as the ability to learn. How can we tap into the characteristics that all individuals share to help them become better learners and ultimately better players? And that means fostering an environment that is going to allow and encourage players to have autonomy in how they make decisions with the problems they face in the context of the environment, in the context of the opponent, in the context of the teammates that are going to be ultimately things that they're going to see. And second, rather than perfection, can we think about adaptability as the ultimate goal, as the ultimate hallmark or benchmark for where we want to be? Can you adapt to whatever it is you face? In the context of soccer, in the context of invasion sports, if you meet an opponent who is X characteristic, who is really fast and strong, how are you going to adapt to that? If you meet an opponent who is very, very, possession-based, if they hold on to the ball well, how can you still adapt to that to maintain control, to maintain the ability to influence that game? How can we reimagine coachability less as followership, I say you do, and more as an environment for learning, autonomy, adaptability? What is coachable? Cheers.